Welcome to Smart Parks Forward on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, hosted by Dave Ramirez, live every second and fourth Monday of the month. Sponsored by Outdoor Link, where we explore the technology, ideas, and innovations helping parks become smarter, more connected, and more impactful. Let's dive into the future of parks and recreation. In this episode, discover how smart technology is helping parks become safer, more efficient, and better connected. Explore innovative ideas and real-world solutions that are shaping the future of parks and recreation.
All right, man. I love the new intro there, showing all the places I've been and all the people I've met and seen. I love it. I love it. This is Smart Parks Forward. Welcome. My name is Dave Ramirez, and I am the National Parks and Rec Specialist and Vice President of Business Development for Outdoor Link, who sponsors this show and is part of the Daily Parks and Rec Show Network, DPRS Network. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in today. We got a great show today. Looking forward to go ahead and sharing Parks and Rec information with you all. This show basically is all about leadership, innovation, and impact. In every episode, we'll explore our guest's career journey, how they got started, the lessons they've learned, and the challenges they've overcome along the way. We'll also go ahead and dive into how they're using smart technology to improve operations, increase efficiency, enhance safety, and better serve their communities. And then we will wrap up the show, of course, with a story, because we all know that Parks and Rec folks have stories to share from the field. So we'll go ahead and get one or two good stories from our guests today, and we'll go ahead and share that with you towards the end of the show. But before we go ahead and do into the introduction, I'd like to go ahead, Jovi, if we could put up the YouTube spot we got going on. We want to go ahead and go live on YouTube, and we need the help of our viewers and friends to go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Daily Parks and Rec Show YouTube channel. With that, we could go ahead and build our numbers, could hit that 1,000, and we could be live on that platform as well. So do us a favor, like and subscribe and share with everybody. Let's go ahead and get live on YouTube. And we have a great portfolio of episodes already on YouTube. We just want to go live there as well. So with that being said, today's guest is Mike DeVito. He's the Director of Parks and Recreation with the city of Cedar Park, Texas. So, but we'll be right back here. Oh, we're bopping on right now. I was going to say we could go ahead and hold in. Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, Dave. How's it going?
It's going great. Thank you for coming on today and joining us. We're going to go ahead, though, if you don't mind, Mike, we're going to do a spot. We got a couple of sponsors that we want to go ahead and showcase and thank, for supporting the show. And when we come back, we'll jump right back into your Parks and Rec story.
Sounds good.
All right.
The future of parks and recreation isn't coming, it's already here. Across communities everywhere, technology is transforming how parks connect, engage, and serve the people who rely on them. From smart amenities and connected infrastructure to real-time data and innovative solutions, a new generation of parks is taking shape. Welcome to Smart Parks Forward, presented by DPRS Media Network and co-produced by Outdoor Link. Each episode brings you the leaders, innovators, and visionaries driving the future of parks and recreation. Discover groundbreaking ideas, real-world success stories, and the technologies helping agencies create safer, smarter, and more connected communities. Because great parks don't just improve spaces, they improve lives. The future is connected. The future is intelligent. The future is now. This is Smart Parks Forward.
All right, and we're back again. Mike, thanks for coming on. I always like to start our show with a little bit. I'd like you to share, your Parks and Rec story, how you got into the field, what you're doing now, and any type of professional organizations you're involved in.
Sure. So my career in Parks and Rec actually started probably pretty typically to where a lot of people started. I was a camp counselor at my local Parks and Rec department, actually in our after school care program. So I was 17. I think I was a junior in high school when I started doing that. And at that point in time, it was, mom and dad were like, "Hey man, you need to get up off the couch and go get yourself a job." So it was great because it was, like I said, the after school program. So I worked Monday through Friday, like 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And I was like, this is awesome. Parks and Rec is great. These such limited hours.
Right.
Little thing I know. But yeah, so from there, I just really loved the industry. And as I continued to do more and more, I owe a lot to the Palos Heights Parks and Rec Department up in Palos Heights, Illinois, south suburbs of Chicago, is where I got my start. And like I said, camp counselor, worked my way into summer camp counselors, and then just really ballooned from there into all kinds of programs. I started getting involved with athletics and youth sports and helping out as like a field supervisor for our adult softball leagues, things like that, and just loved everything about it. And then when it came time to graduate high school and decide what I wanted to do career-wise and what I was going to go to college and get a degree in, I was really kind of on the fence, didn't know what I wanted to do. And then it kind of all of a sudden just one day like hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, man, why don't I look at what it takes to advance my career in terms of Parks and Rec? So I talked to some mentors that I had that were there at that same city that I worked for, the director and some supporting managers, and they were like, yeah, we'd love to see more young people get involved in the industry, and we think that'd be a great fit for you. So they kind of guided me and molded me, and I went away and ended up going to school for it. Graduated from Eastern Illinois University in 2006 with a bachelor's in recreation administration. And from there, I did my internship program with the St. Charles Park District up in St. Charles, Illinois. That turned into my first full-time professional job where I was a teen recreation supervisor. So my first job in the industry was working with teens at our teen center that we had, and working through that. And that was a little bit of a commute for me. It was about an hour-long commute each way. So that obviously wears on you after a while. So I was looking for something closer to home and ended up at the Alsip Park District, which is another city in the south suburbs of Chicago, where I went and did their athletic programming. So I ran youth and adult athletics there for about a year and a half. And then met my wife, got engaged, got married in 2009. And after we got married, we were really looking for like that fresh start and wanted to kind of get out on our own. And so we ended up moving down here to Texas, to the Austin area. I had never been to Texas a day in my life. The first time I showed up in Texas was in a moving truck when I was moving all my stuff down. So wife and I rented a house. I ended up becoming the recreation superintendent for the city of Taylor in fall of 2009. I landed that job and started there. And they had a big sports complex they were just opening up. And so that was my primary role there, was to get that off the ground and get that running. And then eventually worked my way there up to director of Parks and Rec for the city of Taylor. I think that was somewhere around 2016. I think I got that role. And then the opportunity in Cedar Park for assistant director opened up in 2018. So I applied for that, was thankful enough to get that job here. Again, got my commute cut down way short. I'm now 10 minutes from the house, which is fantastic. And then in 2024, our director retired, and I was named interim director. And then in August of 24 was named director officially. So I've been in the role now for just about 2 years as director.
Well, correct, man. What a story. It's amazing how many people I speak to, and I'm the same story. I started as a participant, and I ended up getting a job, as a summer youth worker, and worked my way up to my athletic director position before I retired. So it's a common story, and I think what happens is a lot of folks that start young and experience Parks and Rec, they get it and they enjoy it, and then they look, and you went ahead and had the knowledge to go ahead and look for it, in school to get a degree in it, and nowadays it's like you don't really hear too much about it, so you were able to get that schooling and to help you advance in your career. So congratulations, it's a great good story. So you're over in Cedar Park now, and I was lucky enough to drive through and see the town. About a year ago, I was in the area. And what a beautiful town. A lot of things happening. Share a little bit about what's going on in Cedar Park and your department.
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. It's been quite the whirlwind here. A lot of growth very quickly. So we've definitely experienced some growing pains along with that, but nothing we're not up for the challenge to take on head on and work through. But yeah, as I mentioned previously, we actually just opened a brand new recreation facility this past weekend. It's called Recreate. It's essentially a remodel of our old library building. So our old library closed up a couple years back, and we opened a brand new state-of-the-art, incredible library that's already won all kinds of awards and everything, and it's great. But the question kind of always came to, what do we do with the old space? And so a couple years ago, we were kind of sitting around, and our assistant city manager kind of came up with this Recreate concept, which is basically like a play on recreation, but also we're recreating the use of the facility from its old library into this new programming facility. And it turned out absolutely fantastic. We added all kinds of community rental spaces, rooms for programs. And the concept is that this really becomes a multi-generational, just use type facility for recreation programmings, from adapted programs to senior programs to STEM, art and culture, all kinds of different things. And so we kicked it off this past weekend. We had a huge turnout at our opening event. We had a family friendly event from 4 to 7, and then we actually did a 21 and older event Saturday night, and I think we had over 300 people attend that, and just a great success story so far. So we're actually bracing for that one, because we're like, man, that was maybe a little too successful. We'll see how this goes. But
no, I love the story of taking something that you have and just keeping it and doing something else with it. I think sometimes those that have those facilities they have the best story. You know what I'm
Absolutely,
saying?
Yeah.
And it sounds like you've done an amazing job. I love that you got the adult and the children, family friendly, and the adult, because sometimes adults adults get forgotten about. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to recreation, we're focused on kids so much, but that's awesome to go ahead and have that. And I'm sure with that 21 up, you probably got some senior programming going too for our senior communities.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Yeah. Trying to hit everything across the board as much as we can, and really just grow our own programming base. That's been one of the challenges for us over the last few years. Is we've got 46 parks in Cedar Park, and that's great, and folks really love our parks. But where the gap has been historically has been, what are we offering in terms of programs? And one of the challenges has always just been available space to host programs. And this facility really allows us to open that up and really expand and see what we can bring for the community.
That's awesome. It's great. Good. Nice job, man. It sounds great. I'll be back in Texas here soon.
Yeah, I'll have to check. Yeah,
and take a look at it for
Absolutely.
sure. So. But let's talk a little bit about first of all, you and I met at an NRPA conference, I guess in Dallas a few years ago. That's how we connected. You guys are a client of Outdoor Links, so we appreciate that. And when it comes to that professionalism, tell me a little bit about what organizations, do you participate in? Are you part of, TRAPS or anything else like that? Some certifications that you may have acquired in your career. Love you to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so our whole department is members with both TRAPS and NRPA, so we take that very seriously. We're all about making sure our team has that continuing education and is attending conferences and learning about the new trends and things within the industry, and just also having that space to connect with other peers in the field and bounce ideas off each other, and even talk about some of the challenges and things that we all face in the industry, because it's always nice to hear from other people who have maybe experienced something similar and can offer some insight or can offer a little bit of support and things like that. So definitely encourage everybody to be involved in those as much as possible. In terms of me personally, I've got a few different certifications. I've got a certified pool operator certification, and then also a certified playground safety inspector through NRPA, and then my certified Parks and Recreation executive as well through NRPA. So I've got those. I keep those maintained, and always on the lookout for any opportunities to continue to learn and grow and just learn more about the field and the industry. Just trying to get better every day.
Yeah, well, I know when you go to these conferences, the classes are there. You grab your CEUs to keep those certifications up and running. But you had mentioned about the networking part of conference. I feel sometimes I bring just as much back with me after a conference from sitting at a table or sitting with a group of people just talking about things, about what's going on. There's no such thing as stealing from each other in Parks and Rec. We're sharing ideas. You know what I'm saying? To go ahead and do better for our communities and our programs. So I feel that sometimes that you get just as much at a social or a dinner or anything at these conferences. So,
for sure.
Yeah, and they're big. TRAPS does a great job. TRAPS is a big organization. Texas is a big state. I think you guys are broken down into 7 regions, and that's a lot of folks. And I know I'm going to be getting more involved with the Texas Recreation and Park Society here soon. So I'm looking forward to working with them, and that's just getting more involved in the state of Texas. So it's good stuff coming.
It's definitely a great organization. They do a fantastic job. There's been a ton of each year I go to that conference, it gets better and better. Like you mentioned, just that networking component. Even like my favorite part is just the exhibit hall, just going through. You never know what you're going to find in there. Some new type of feature or software or equipment or something that makes your job easier and more efficient and allows you to do other things a lot, similar to kind of how we met and able to implement Outdoor Link into some of our parks.
Yeah, man, what a segue to our technology part of the show, man. That was perfect, Mike, man. That was smooth. But what we're going to do before we jump into technology, man, I'm going to go ahead and roll. We're going to take a quick break here. Yeah. Jovi's going to run a couple of ads, and we come back, we're going to talk technology.
Sounds good.
All right.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. All from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the daily Parks and Rec show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link. Smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
They say it's just rec. Just rec, where kids learn to try again. Just rec, where confidence begins. Where teamwork, effort, and fun matter more than trophies. It's not about perfection. It's about participation. It's not just rec. It's where kids learn to love the game and themselves. It's just rec until they learn teamwork for life. It's just rec, but it's everything to them. It's more than rec. It's a movement. It's just rec until you realize it's shaping the next generation. Together, we're not just running programs, we're building a culture of confidence, connection, and community. Join us.
All right, and we're back. National Academy of Youth Sports, one of our proud sponsors here at the Daily Parks and Rec Show Network, DPRS Network. They are focused on rec sports, and how so much going on with competitive sports, the travel and whatnot. It's always good to go back to where it all started with recreation play. So it's just that simple. So, but let's talk tech. You had mentioned we met at the conference in the exhibit hall. Now, for me, I was that guy that went ahead and went to all the vendors, at the conferences that I went to, man, because I was always looking for something that was going to go ahead and help myself and my team out at the job. Look for that new technology or that new piece of equipment or anything that would just, enhance what we do, because one thing you always want to do better, and nowadays, with everything that's going on, you need to go ahead and be more efficient and smarter on the way you do things. So, Mike, tell me over at Cedar Park, man, what are you guys doing? How are you using smart technology and to enhance, what you guys provide and do and to your team?
Yeah. There's so many different ways that we've really implemented multiple different types of technology. Outdoor links obviously been a huge thing for us. Previously, before we had connected and got Outdoor Link going, we were still using old school digital timers at like our tennis courts and things like that. But you lose power and you don't find out about it, you don't know about it till somebody calls and they're upset because lights didn't come on and all that. And the Outdoor Link implementation for us has just been a game changer. Just the ability to program everything remotely, and then also the monitoring has been huge because it lets us know if there's a power failure, if there's an issue with one of our systems. And actually, I do have a really good story that I'm saving for the story on how Outdoor Link already helped us out. But on top of that, there's a lot of different other ways we've implemented technology. We've got a smart weather system implemented out at our splash pad. And so that actually is designed to where if there's inclement weather within a 10-mile radius of the splash pad, the system detects it and actually shuts the splash pad down and makes an announcement to tell people that there's inclement weather and that they should seek shelter, which is great because our splash pad it's not always 100% of the time staffed. It's just out in the park, right? So just to have that capability, that extra component of safety that we're able to implement to allow people to stay safe out there has been wonderful for us too. It's got its hiccups too, like anything, sometimes a false alarm and so it'll shut the system down, but better safe than sorry. So we've been real happy with that. And then overall, it's just like getting everything. And I'm sure, a ton of other cities and departments have already, been doing this for years, but just the digital formats for everything, when it comes to, park inspections, playground safety inspections, and just digitizing everything just for the sake of the ability to be able to search for things quicker, instead of having to, pull out a file folder with a stack of inspections this thick that you got to go through to find out, when something was fixed or broke or whatever. now everything's digital, so you can, search a keyword and have something or a date and have it pop up for you. And so we've been implementing things like that for a while. And then we're always looking for continued opportunities to enhance and really get more efficient. So we've got some things on the radar. We've got a new access control system that we're about to get going with out at our sports complex with our sports fields, where we actually will be able to have our gates to our fields remotely lock and unlock. And then when folks have a reservation on a field, they'll get a unique user code so that they can go in and access the field. And that helps ensure that, somebody's not on the field when they're not supposed to be, and that the person who, paid for a rental has access to it when they're supposed to. So we're going to unveil that here in the next month or so. And then we're also looking at a lot of new enhancements in terms of a lot of the equipment that's out there. We're looking at some autonomous mowers, so we can have unmanned mowers on some of our spaces. Sounds crazy, seeing a full-size lawnmower out there with nobody on it, but we're going to be strategic about it and make sure we're going to use those on our sports fields where they're protected by fences, even though they have all those safety precautions. It's like a Roomba, it'll sense you if you're in front of it, but out of abundance of caution and safety, we'll use those in our fenced areas until we really get them working the way we want to. But yeah, there's just a lot of that, and just really always on the lookout for whatever we can do to really make things more efficient, which is a huge thing for us. Is we're a bigger department, but we're always facing the same challenges and battles, which is being able to keep up. And as we continue to grow as a community, the level of expectation increases with that. So people expect things done faster and things like that. And there's the ability to have that technology to alert us to things that we need to address before like a citizen or something has to. That's just a win for us all around.
Well, it's always said, it's always more with less in Parks and Rec. Everything is expected, and you don't have the biggest team. You know what I'm saying, to get things done. So I want to ask a little bit about the ball field locks. Now, is that like a padlock, or is that how are you using like the Bluetooth padlocks and giving codes out to let?
It's got an access control pad with a keypad on it, and so we can actually do a couple different options. We can give out a unique passcode, or it can be set up through Bluetooth through a cell phone, where the user can have it on their Apple wallet or whatever, and just pull it up and scan it, and it'll unlock the gate. Mm-hmm. And the nice thing about it is we can program it to where they only get access to their field 15 minutes before their reservation and 15 minutes after. So if you rent a field from 7 to 9, it's not going to let you on at 6:15. It's going to let you on at 6:45. So it just keeps folks honest. And then, of course, it's the best part about it is I can set it up to where, so for example, I have a league that's out there on Saturday mornings. They open the gate. Well, we can program it to where once they open it for that initial time, it stays unlocked through the whole day. So once they're done with their program, the field stays open. And then if public users want to come out and just get on the field and use it just to kick a ball around or whatever, it's already opened up and ready to go for that too. So just gives us a lot of flexibility and ability to really just enhance the quality of those fields, because now we can kind of control traffic a little bit better. So if they need to be closed because we've got a lot of rain and they're wet, we're able to do that and keep them safe and protected.
Well, the tracking is too. So if you're giving somebody an individual code, that who's opening it, who's closing it. And,
exactly.
That's huge nowadays with smart tech. In our outdoor link, there's an activity log where you could see who's turning the lights on and turning them off if need be. So it's, I think it's important because you got to, like you said, keep people honest, but then, it's your responsibility to make sure these fields are being used properly and being taken care of. I know one of my biggest things was on soccer fields. They would love to go ahead and jump in that middle circle to do their drills. And after a week or so, it would wear down the grass, and I'd have to come out and say, hey, you got to move to another spot. You're going to kill this space here, and I'm going to have to shut the field down and repair it. And you have to do that. So the monitoring is huge of that. Now, you had mentioned the mowers. I got to experience a little bit of the mowing, and it was sort of unique because we had a shed that was built close to the ball fields, and we would set it at a certain time, and it would just wake up. We'd leave the door open a little bit. He'd come on out, and the gate was left open. He knew what gate to come in, and he had the pattern to mow the field. It was pretty amazing. You know what I'm saying? But again, that saved a lot when it, from putting people out there to do it. They were able to get these fields mowed. Have you experienced the paint liners yet? Have you?
I've seen them. So we actually, we have so many different groups that use our multi-purpose fields, whether it's football, soccer. We don't stripe because there's just so many different uses. So we actually give permission for the programs and the users to do their own striping. And so I know a couple of those groups are using those. And I've seen them in action. Those are really neat. If we were striping, I'd absolutely be looking at
yeah. I watched the demo, and it was pretty unique how they just laid out this entire football field with numbers, and they just let it go. And they just started going back and forth, doing the lines, doing the numbers, any type of graphics or whatever was all being painted in. It's just where we're at now. I was
for sure.
I've been around a little bit longer than you, Mike. I'm a little bit older than you, but I did 32 years in the field, and I went everything from a notebook to do roll call in an after-school program, to what's going on now, where kids could just hit a QR code to check in and all this kind of stuff. It's great. Technology is definitely doing Parks and Rec right. And then I always like to say that the staff can focus on what's really important. You know what I'm saying? For little things. Are you guys using any type of reservation, technology or hardware?
Yeah, for sure. We're on the Civic Rec platform, so we're using that. But yeah, that's like that's like a have to have this day and age, just to be able to just digitally, process all your reservations, payments, and calendars, and all those types of things. Actually, my last city I was at, we didn't have that. We were still, my admin had a old school just print out calendar, and like we had a pavilion where there was like a top pavilion and a bottom pavilion, and she would literally, like, if the top was rented, she would write it in the top of the date box, and then if the bottom was rented, it would get written in the bottom of the box, and like it was done by hand, and it was this huge binder with. Yep. And so yeah, it's definitely nicer when you can just pull that up on a screen and check everything out.
Oh, most definitely, man. And then you had mentioned about the reports, the maintenance logs, and that kind of stuff. It's nothing better than to go ahead and be able to jump on a tablet or a computer and check on something. Before I retired, we created a program with Oracle based, and it was amazing because the guys can get out there, do a report and then automatically send it to the maintenance teams to address it, set if it was critical, non-critical, or whatnot. They had all the parameters to do that. And it was very helpful, because I remember the days of, lights like never coming on. And then a few days later, I get calls, complaints saying, this has been like this forever. Well, nowadays you could, you're sort of monitoring it real time all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's and unfortunately, with technology, sometimes it's finicky and doesn't work the way you intend, and so you still absolutely do rely on folks to let you know when there's something not right. But for the most part, when it works, it makes everything just so more effective and efficient, and just allows you to free up resources to do other things.
That's it. And then, just to share, with the outdoor links, the smart controllers, I was a client with Outdoor Link prior to me coming on board with them and after my retirement. And they, at the time, they were very, smart. They were on it. They said, listen, you're in Parks and Recreation, Dave. We're not. Tell me what is going to be best for this controller to make it successful and have it help people in the Parks and Rec field. So they listened to me, and I gave them a laundry list of things. You know what I'm saying? That, if you provide this, do this. And the biggest thing I focused on was to make it simple. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We don't want 15 steps to turn off a light. You know what I'm saying? We need to go ahead and if we get that call, the lights are on, we need to shut them down. We need to just go on, click a button, and go on to the next project that we're doing. So, that's what it's about. Technology is definitely going to go ahead and just sort of, just make things a little bit easier and more smoothly run. So. Well, it sounds like you guys are on it, man. You're using technology in all different manners and ways. I love the gate controls and that kind of stuff. We did the master lock Bluetooth locks and gave out temporary codes, and that was just a great way to monitor what was going on, because when those fields need a break or the weather comes in, people need to stay off. They don't understand the damage that can be done when you're using it, unauthorized or improperly. And I'm sure Texas is just like Florida. Those fields need rest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, especially when you're in a climate where you can have year-round use.
Yeah.
And that's one of every year in November we shut down so we can overseed. Well, in order to make sure that that's successful, I have to keep traffic off the fields for probably about a month to really allow that to take hold. And prior to being able to lock and shut gates, it was tough to keep traffic off there, and it's that stuff's not cheap, and you don't want to have to do it twice or fight with any damage because you can't keep people off. So just the ability to it's a cost savings mechanism at the end of the day, and that allows you to put those resources towards something else. So at the end of the year, when it's hey, can you guys go do this? Well, yeah, now I can, because I didn't have to do that work twice because I was able to keep it safe and protected. So I didn't even mention that. We've got everything now on a control system. We can remotely control any irrigation system we have across any of our parks. So here in Texas, water savings is always top of mind. So if for some reason there's something that starts running when it's not supposed to, I can call one of my guys and they can be sitting at home and they can go and turn off an irrigation controller remotely before it overruns. And so it just has that massive just benefit to not only financial benefit, but just conservation with water use and all those types of things.
Well, I was going to bring up irrigation when you started talking about those fields. Yeah, that's nowadays there's companies out there that offer a great product, a good monitor. They, like I said, they have monitors where if it rains, it'll basically tell it not to water because there's so much rain has already came down. It's, again, it's conservation too, and it's efficiency, man. That's what it all sort of rolls into.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially being in Parks and Rec. The last thing we want to do is be a Parks and Rec department that is not conserving our natural resources. That absolutely feels completely at odds with our mission. So just implementing technology to help us get better. And look, like I said, there's going to be hiccups. There's going to be stuff that malfunctions. But at the end of the day, every little bit we can do is just adding to that ability to just help keep things going for the future.
Yeah, and then you have happy residents, and you have happy community members, and you have happy community leaders. You know what I'm saying, that see all that. And sometimes when they see it, they appreciate it, and they'll speak up and they'll let folks know, and then, then there's maybe some extra funding coming or some extra support for the next project coming up because you guys are doing it the right way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So, all right. No, that's great, Mike. You guys are doing it right over there in Cedar Park for sure. I came by and got to see some of the parks, and you guys got a great mix of, I looked at the art at one side. You had outdoor art displays, and let's talk about the tree. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where it all started with the outdoor link at Cedar Park. Was this tree. So before we talk, unless this is part of the story that you were going to share.
It actually is. Yeah.
Darn it. All right. Well, then we're rolling right into the stories, man. Let's talk, because I use what you're getting ready to say, man. I use it for a lot of folks that call me and they ask, I may not really need this for a ball field, but I do have other, needs. And I sort of throw in examples, and you guys in Cedar Park are one of the examples. Yeah. So let me give it to you, man. Let's talk.
So we have we call it the Heritage Oak, and it's basically I want to say It's over 400-year-old oak tree, and every holiday season we decorate it with something in the neighborhood of 30,000 lights or something like that, and it's impressive. It's absolutely beautiful. It's been a staple in the community for just decades now at this point, and everybody looks forward to it, and it's fantastic. But as we started kind of growing more into the tech range, we were really starting to have issues where, when you put those many lights on a tree, you may have some power issues here and there. Everything's LED, so it conserves a lot of energy now. But we were running into issues where, like, if there was a power failure, and the timer we had would then lose its programming, or the timer would just straight up malfunction and not work, and then so the tree wouldn't come on. And we've had, people call because they've heard about it and they've come from, other communities or come from far away to come see it. And it's disappointing when it's not on and things like that. And so I was like, man, we really need to figure out a way where we can, like, I would love to, like, have verification that this thing comes on. For a few months, I would set the old school timer to come on at 5 o'clock, so that after I would wrap my day up here, I could drive by and just make sure it came on at 5, and then make sure it went off at 10 o'clock. And nobody wants to have to go out there twice a day or twice in the evening to have to check it. And so, we had talked at NRPA, and man, it was like just the perfect solution for us for that application. And so we had our guys go out and install one of the outdoor link controllers over there. And that first holiday season that we had that up and running, it was awesome. It was a game changer. I was able to see on the app, like, that it came on, or that it went off. And then where my story comes in is actually last year. I'm sitting, it's Christmas Eve, and I'm at my mother-in-law's house with the family, and we're celebrating Christmas Eve. And I get an email pop up from Outdoor Link that says there was a power failure at the tree. And so I'm able to go in there, and I'm like, I try to reset it, won't reset. So I'm like, well, this doesn't sound good. I'm going to have to, probably get this looked at. And so sure enough, that next morning, Christmas Day, we get out and we do the whole Christmas thing. And I'm like, this thing won't reset. And I'm like, I got to run out there and take a look. Maybe it's a trip breaker or something like that. So I go out, and sure enough, there's no trip breaker or anything. It's I want to say it was like a fuse or something that blew, but obviously not something that I'm able to get fixed on a holiday. Like, that's going to take an electrician or somebody to come out and redo that. But where it came in handy was because otherwise, since it's a holiday, so there's not a lot of staff, so people aren't getting phone calls here at the rec center to let us know, or maybe somebody sends an email in and it maybe doesn't get seen right away because it's a holiday. But because we were aware of it through Outdoor Link, we were able to put messaging out that, hey, unfortunately, it's awful that it had to happen on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, but we were at least able to let people know. And it turned out that that Christmas Day, there was actually somebody who was planning to propose at the tree that evening. But because we let them know, or let the public know that it had malfunctioned and wasn't working, they were able to make alternate arrangements. And didn't show up with the plan to do that and just be disappointed because it wasn't working. So it's just, obviously, ideally, we would have it working, but it wasn't able to. But just at least being able to let people know what the situation was, and know that, one, we were aware of it, two, we were working on it, and we had it fixed. I think that the way the holidays fell this year, that Friday we were all back at work, and we had it up and running by that Friday. So it was, we were able to get it fixed. But man, I know. It could have been a lot. There could have been a lot more disappointment had we had not known that and been able to get that information out to the public that it wasn't working. Right. So definitely, just that right there was like, man, this is why we went ahead and went with this system to help us out with this.
Yeah, the alert system that's built into that smart controller is very helpful. Yeah. It does help us, prepare for what's coming up. You let the community know. So they weren't disappointed. They already had the heads up and notification that there was issues there. Here in Florida, in 2024, when the hurricanes came through and pretty much devastated the state, Parks and Rec departments here were able to go on after the storm and go into the activity log and the maintenance log and find out where power was out, so they could go ahead and deploy their teams there first, the most critical areas, before instead of just sending them out blindly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, that's all part of the system. And that's, we just continue to grow that system to help with situations like this. As much as I hate hearing that the lights ain't come on for you on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, but got to keep in mind too, if there's ever an issue, our 24/7 hotline is out there, customer support. You could always call that. And, but with a fuse blowing, sometimes
it was definitely on our electrical end. Yeah, it wasn't a controller.
Yeah, but I appreciate that story. Because again, it, and you know what? Think about this. I was thinking, Mike, you're saying that before that was installed, you'd go by there every day to make sure they were on, and then you'd have to check to see if they were off. Now I'm thinking about gas prices right now, even though it's on the way home and stuff, but still. I'm sure after a full day of work, Mike, you just want to go home. You don't want to detour through to check on things or whatnot if you don't have to. And at least you have the control to do that now.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely takes a little bit off. And part of that's just I guess just anxiety of making sure it works the way it's supposed to for the community. But
that's Parks and Rec, man. We worry about things. We want everything to be right for our communities. So, you were taking that extra step to make sure things were looking good so people could enjoy that tree.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, now does this tree have its own web page or something, or somebody that could go and check it out online?
No, we don't have our own webpage for it. We do definitely we do a ceremony out there every it's the first week of December. I don't know the specific day because we've changed it the last couple of years, but we will definitely have info on our website about that event. And it's usually, like I said, that first week of December, where we'll get some vendors out there and just celebrate the start of the holiday season and light the tree and then kind of roll into all our other holiday programming from there.
That's awesome. No, I appreciate you sharing the story, and like I said, that's how we got to know each other is with the Heritage Group. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, exactly. Yeah. That was our first use of Outdoor Link. And then from there, all our tennis courts have it now. And then we just recently installed it at our basketball court in Milburn Park too. So definitely love the ability to just go in there and program everything and monitor it. And it's affordable too. So it's not straining any budgets or breaking the bank. It's been nice.
Well, that's what we're trying to do. We want to make sure we can help Parks and Rec and do it in a cost efficient way. So no, I appreciate that. Let me know here. I'll be checking in with you how we're doing on those other sites and if everything's working right for you. That's part of the team and I. We like to reach out to our clients and make sure that they're happy and how we can help out. So. But no, Mike, man, listen, man, what a great, we're getting to that point, man. Man, time flies when we get talking, man. I appreciate the story. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing, over there in Cedar Park. Again, I was impressed when I was able to drive through and look at some facilities there, and definitely we'll look forward to seeing you guys if not sooner than, maybe in February, when the Traps has their conference. I'm planning to attend and be there, and have to come out and Texas has been good. We're getting a lot of new clients out there, so I think everybody's starting to hear about us. And that's a good thing. That's why we go to the conferences, and that's why we get out there and do what we do, is because we want people to know we have something that can help out. So Mike, I appreciate your time this afternoon, man. Have a great rest of the summer, because it's summertime, that's the way it goes. So enjoy the rest of your summer, and I look forward to seeing you and talking to you later on.
Sounds great. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Mike. All right. What a great show today. Talking about what Cedar Park, Texas is doing over there in the Austin area of Texas. I love that Mike shared the story about the tree, because that's where we began. And I loved it. I love the idea of us controlling lights on a tree and then, helping them, with their problems. So So with that being said, I always like to wrap up with a few things. At the end of the day, if you can't hear it from my voice and Mike's voice, this profession is about people, passion, and purpose. Parks and rec professionals are essential to public safety, community wellness, the overall quality of life in every city, every county, every park district that we serve. Smart technology will never replace the Parks and Recreation leader, but it will empower them to focus on what really matters most: improving operations, increasing efficiency, enhancing safety, and better serving our residents and the communities we are in. It's just that simple. You know what I'm saying? I want to thank everybody for tuning in, but I want to talk a little bit about Daily Parks and Rec Show Network. We are growing leaps and bounds. I think I'm going to go ahead and have Jovi put up our updated calendar of shows, and I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about each one of them. As you can see there, we are growing that, and actually that may be off a little bit because we are, I think, up to 16 podcasts in the network that we're running shows Monday through Friday, from noon all the way down to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So we are definitely going to be your source of Parks and Rec news and stories and tips and tricks and everything else. We have a wide variety of shows focused on leadership and young professionals, and that's where Craig and Papa J jump in on. We have shows involving sports and athletics, and that's Aaron and Jordan. Their shows focus on that. We have recreation programming and arts shows. Beatrice, Patricia, Rebecca, they are basically running those shows in the network. We have a facility maintenance show. We have military recreation with John Prue. And because, that is a huge part of our military is that recreation component. Wes does a great job with our aquatic show, which depending where you're at in the country, for me in Florida, aquatics is 24/7, and around the other country, there's a lot of indoor pools and stuff. So aquatics doesn't go anywhere. And, that's also involving, splash pads and everything else. We have a whole segment on parks and your health with Thomas White from Georgia, Henry County, Georgia. And there's more tech talk. We have Allie and Jason, who's hosting the Parks and Tech Collective on Mondays, and I think they're expanding out to a different day. And one of our newest shows is our Legacy of Parks show with Richard, sort of like a history lesson of parks. He focuses on some of those facilities that have been around for many, many years that have such a good story behind them. And he focuses on that, and then of course there's my show. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit of a mix. We like to talk a little technology, but I also like to go ahead and share people's stories on how they went ahead and got into the field. Because, smart parks, smart technology, but it's about smart people too. And that's what this show is based on and focused on. So, with that being said, we're going to wrap this show up. We're going to, go ahead and there'll be a few ads at the end there. Please stay tuned and watch those. Support our sponsors, support our, folks that are, hosting these shows. We appreciate it. My next episode of Smart Parks Forward is scheduled for July 27th at 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. And my guest is going to be the executive director from the West Chicago Park District, Gina Radin. So she will be our guest here in a couple of weeks. So I hope you tune back and watch. I want to go ahead. Oh, there, look at that. There it is. Gina's coming on. She's got a really cool story over there in Illinois. And I really am going to focus a little bit on Park District versus county and city, because there is a little bit of a difference. And I learned that coming on board with Outdoor Link when I started outreaching to parks around the country. So the districts are huge up there in the mid-north. So we're going to learn a little bit about that next week. So thanks for Jovi for throwing that line up there for me. And thank you, Jovi. You know, Jovi's behind the scenes, keeping me straight, keeping me square here on the show. I want to thank the entire DPRS team for everything they do. And I want to thank Outdoor Link for supporting the show and myself. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about Outdoor Link smart controllers and services, or if you'd like to be a guest on the show, reach out to me I'm pretty much on all social media networks. Find me, reach out to me. Glad to go ahead and chat with you and talk to you. You know, with that, I'm wrapping up. My name is Dave Ramirez. Thanks for watching. And remember, Parks and Rec is essential. Have a great day.
Art has the power to transform spaces, to inspire communities, to tell stories that connect us to one another. Across parks, public spaces, and gathering places around the world, creativity is bringing people together in new and meaningful ways. From murals and sculptures to music, dance, theater, and cultural celebrations, the arts help turn ordinary places into extraordinary experiences. Because Parks and Recreation isn't only about facilities and programs. It's about creating places where people belong, places where culture thrives, places where imagination comes to life. Welcome to Arts in Parks and Rec, the show that explores the people, projects, and creative ideas shaping the future of arts and culture in parks and public spaces. Hosted by Beatriz Eugenia Vázquez. Together, we'll discover how the arts strengthen communities, inspire engagement, and help create vibrant places for everyone. This is Arts in Parks and Rec, a DPRS Media Network original, where creativity meets community.
In the parks and recreation industry, attention is limited, but influence is everything. Every day, thousands of parks and recreation professionals make critical decisions. Decisions on infrastructure, programs, technology, and vendors. The question is your brand part of that conversation? DPRS Media Network was built to answer that question. We are a dedicated media ecosystem focused exclusively on the parks and recreation industry in the United States. Through a network of daily and weekly shows, we inform, connect, and influence this audience. Our distribution spans multiple platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, plus email campaigns, newsletters, podcasts, and live event coverage. This is not a single-channel strategy. It is a multi-platform media engine. Today, our network reaches over 214,000 connections, including 51,000 on LinkedIn, 64,000 on Facebook, nearly 40,000 email subscribers, and thousands more across podcast and social platforms. While some audiences overlap, our true value is not just reach, it is relevance. We speak directly to parks and recreation directors, program managers, and industry leaders, an audience that is highly targeted and actively engaged. Through DPRS Media Network, your brand integrates seamlessly into this ecosystem. Through sponsored show segments, targeted advertisement placements, podcast features, and host-read promotions, even custom branded content. Not as interruptions, but as part of the conversation. And we don't just operate online. We attend over 15 major parks and recreation conventions each year, reaching more than 24,000 professionals in person. Through live shows, interviews, and on-site media coverage, we position our partners at the center of the industry. Every piece of content we produce is amplified across our entire network. Multiple shows, multiple hosts, multiple platforms. Your message doesn't appear once, it multiplies. This is more than advertising. It is strategic positioning within a trusted media network built specifically for the parks and recreation industry. If your goal is to reach decision makers, build credibility, and stay top of mind, then it's time to partner with DPRS Media Network. Apply for partnership or sponsorship today. Let's position your brand where the industry is already paying attention.